how's summer? How's the last couple of months been for you? I
You
guess
know
say.
what? I wish I could say I've enjoyed summer. It's friggin' hot as anything here, I'll tell you that. But I'm working. I'm trying to get these listings sold because it's
Yeah,
it's a little bit weird. It's more than a little bit weird. It's a
yeah,
lot weird. Yeah.
yes, it is definitely. And what's interesting is, and I think everywhere, and someone raise your hand if you guys are experiencing a different market. But most
Yeah.
places, it's the same thing. It's like the listings are sitting. It's hard sometimes for the buyers or for the sellers to understand the market has shifted. This requires some adjustments, which I imagine is a struggle that a lot of you all encounter. But even today, I was like just with a realtor with his site and just checking out, showing him some things that he could do for marketing with that respect to an existing database. And notice like there's listings in there that are priced well below what I know that they're worth. Like hundreds of thousands. Like it's a I don't know, a 3+2 bedroom house in Newmarket with an income suite for under 700,000. I'm like, this is like, okay,
Wow.
we're either like really had to shift the market or we're looking for multiple offers here. So different strategies to bring the buyers to throw the offers in, depending on scenarios, right? It's maybe these people have
Yeah.
to sell. They have to sell, so it's not a there's no time
It's
for games.
different. It's different. I mean, we're noticing a lot of listings. First and foremost, we've got a few people in, so
Yes,
welcome. Let me see. Harpreet, Megan, Syed, Sid. Oh, Sid, you're back again. Simone, and I think am I pronouncing it? Vin? If I'm not pronouncing it right, let us know. We appreciate you being in here.
yes.
It is very challenging times, and that's for sure. I'm in Ontario. I don't know where the rest of you are, but I mean, at the end of the day, we always say this, and we said it, everybody became a realtor over COVID because if you had
Mm-hmm.
listings, you were making a lot of money and doing very little work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's these types of markets that's going to make or break a lot of realtors because
Mm-hmm.
this is feet to the pavement, pounding. How can I get these things sold? How can I
Yeah.
get my buyers to buy when the interest rate is not high?
Yeah.
It's going to make or break your business, and it's going to
Mm-hmm.
really who's got the grease and who wants to oil the car and just get it done.
Just yeah.
These are challenging times. Hello,
It is.
Christina. I don't know somebody else. And Jason, welcome. Welcome. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely, and even it goes, down south as well. They're also, of course, encountering similar situations with markets, just not where they're at for sure.
Yeah. And I think the hardest part in these times is, sorry guys, every single minute of the day, we're getting a lot more listings hitting the market.
Hmm.
So we've got a lot of buyers that, for whatever the reason, don't seem to want to buy.
Yeah.
Don't ask me. I don't understand it at all. I mean, here right now, my buyers are getting 4.1%.
Yeah.
That's a great rate, right?
Hmm.
That
Hmm.
being said, we're still getting more listings, which is
Yeah.
adding to the inventory of nobody out there looking.
Yeah.
And I think as I'm seeing it, everybody that bought during COVID, sorry guys, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Can you hear me okay,
Yeah.
Crystal?
Yep.
Everybody that bought during COVID, um, they're coming to their 5-year renewal, right?
Hmm. Yep.
So if they were people that bought into and got the 1.59 interest rate, they're clearly renewing higher, and
Yes.
maybe not everybody can afford to stay,
Yeah.
right? Which
Exactly.
is gaining our inventory. I got to get out. I got to get out. I got to get out.
Hmm. Yeah. Are you finding, I know in our market here, a lot of our offers are conditional. So it'll be conditional on finding or the sale of their home because the market's
Of
just not
course,
moving. They can't do anything. They want to move, but they can't be like solidify because the market's not moving fast enough
right.
to just put an offer in and know confidently that your house is going to sell in that time frame.
I would never in this market bring my buyer if they hadn't already sold their home without a
Hmm.
condition of the sale of their property.
Yeah.
I would never be able to sleep at night. I've got two deals right now that are pending on the condition of the sale of my buyer's property. I just had to extend one because I mean their properties aren't selling.
Yeah.
And we're reducing the price. It's not like we're not reducing the price. We could
Hmm.
reduce it to zero. I still think buyers aren't going to buy it.
Yeah.
I just had an extension for an SPP for 2 more months. I'm hardcore. I'm like, listen, we're in a tough market. I'm not even going to ask them if they'll extend 30 days because I can tell you right now, 30 days isn't going to do it. So I asked for 60 more days. And
Yeah.
guess what the seller said? We don't want you to lose this house. We don't want it to be back on the market again and have nobody come through. We're
Yeah.
going to work with you. And I got a
Yeah.
60-day extension.
Hmm.
Right? So unless they can financially own more than one home, this is not a market to go without the condition of the sale of the home. And
Hmm.
it just means that you got to work even harder to get these houses to sell, which I mean, guys, I'm exhausted. I've got 7
Yeah.
active listings right now. There's
Yeah.
not a lot of showings. I'm
Yeah.
I'm I'm doing everything I can.
Yeah.
So we do open houses most weekends.
Hmm.
Um, we started doing as well what I'm calling pop-up open houses. So if you guys don't already follow me, if you just want to look and see what we're doing, I'm nothing special at social media by any means. But
Hmm.
I'm like, okay, if the buyers aren't coming through on the weekends and if they're not booking showings, then I'm going to do additional open houses during the week. And we're doing
Hmm.
3 to 5.
Yeah.
And I'm picking random days. And
Yeah.
guess what? People are coming through,
Yeah.
but they're not coming through my Saturday and Sunday open houses,
Yeah. It's
but
the
they're coming
weekend in
through
the
my
summer.
pop-up, right?
Well, and it's probably too, I know years ago, and I'm sure people still do it, but I'm going to say back, 12 years ago when I was licensed in Ontario, that was becoming a thing was, and maybe even further back, is weekday open houses during the commute times home. So as people
Sure.
were driving home, it was convenient to just stop in somewhere rather than spending an afternoon or a chunk of their Saturday or Sunday morning
Yeah.
going and look at
Yeah.
these houses. So it's kind of working with the working individual and having open houses at times that not everyone might be able to go to.
Yeah, and I think if you can play around with the time, I mean, not
Hmm.
every time on every day is going to get you people. So maybe it's not
Hmm.
3 to 5, maybe it's 5 to 7. If
Yeah.
that's not working, then friggin' do 2 to 4. A
Yeah.
lot of people still work from home too. So
Hmm.
I think at the end of the day, when I'm doing my pop-up, and boy, it's hot here. I'm not sitting inside the house. I'm usually sitting on a chair in their front porch
Yeah.
so that as people walk down the street, I can say, hey, listen, why don't you come in and take a look? Even if you're not looking, you might know somebody.
Yeah.
So because I think people are so used to seeing open houses during the week.
Yes.
Um, but again, we're talking about what do you have to do to go that extra mile in a market where
Hmm.
um, people just aren't buying, right?
Yeah.
So
No, for
that's why
sure.
I said it's going to make or break a lot of realtors.
You got
And it
to.
might break me this time, or it might be that one.
Does anyone else on here, are you doing any strategies with the open houses that seem to be producing some sort of a positive result as far as foot traffic?
Yeah, tell us what you think, or even what you're experiencing. This is a great
Hmm.
opportunity to ask questions because I always say we're not competitors. We're all in this together. We're colleagues. So, if
Hmm.
you've got a question where you're experiencing something and you're kind of feeling, what would you do? Ask away. This is,
Yeah.
I tell
Yeah.
you, hey, Crystal, this is the perfect opportunity to,
Yes.
to field your questions. I
Yeah.
learn just as much from all of you as you learn from me.
Yeah.
And I really honestly mean that. And welcome, Amit. Nice to have you back
Hmm.
as well. What is the experience, Crystal, with some of the agents that you're finding you're doing one-on-one training with? Is there a lot of
It,
frustration from the realtors?
there
Yeah,
is because it's the buyers maybe coming in, but the motivation is so low, right? People are looking, there's so many, and looking is normal when we're doing lead generation,
yeah,
100%. We're looking at, 6 to 24 months, currently, conversion time, and some of it even longer, of course, right? But there's definitely, because the market is slow and money is not coming in as fast as we would like it to. Yeah, it's there's frustration because the money's going out, it's not coming in, these buyers aren't moving,
yeah.
and yeah, it's definitely across the board where that's the main headache. Some are including rentals into their searches and kind of focusing on those because those can be
Sure,
low hanging
sure.
fruit. They're just as much
Yep.
work. But hey, if opportunity knocks and you can supplement, some of your advertising costs, you don't have to pull back from those avenues of lead generation, then they're doing that, right? Some people just completely
Yeah.
refuse to work with rentals, but that is definitely what some are doing is kind of leveraging that avenue because those can be hot to trot leads in some cases and quick to transact to keep the ball moving.
And you know what? I want everybody to really understand what Crystal is saying here because I understand leases are a lot of work and you get paid clearly minimal. But
Mm-hmm.
remember, all of these people at some point in time are most likely going to buy a property, whether
Mm-hmm.
it's 5 years down the road or even later.
Yeah.
I am always the agent. I've always ran my business this way and I've taken listings and deals that other agents were like, this isn't worth my time. It's not
Mm-hmm.
enough money. And I have made so much money off of that particular deal. I look at it this way, is $10 in your hand better than zero?
Yeah.
Right? So it's
Yeah.
not about anything other than a bird in the hand will always pay some bill. So we've
Mm-hmm.
got some people in the chat, which I
Yeah.
love. Hold on one
Yeah.
second. Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. Well,
Let's
kind of
see. Do you want to
connected.
go forward?
Yeah, so kind of
Okay.
connected with that is, Simone is saying more rentals in this market. Homeowners are renting. So there's more people that are going in back, I guess, back into the rental scene
Sure. Sure.
versus the home ownership or pulling out of the market and
Yep.
perhaps watching, our favorite thing.
Or maybe they have
Uh,
to, right?
yeah. And you know what?
Yep.
And again, kind of going into that whole rental aspect is consider a rental lead in some cases, especially in the area you're targeting and the price point they're looking at rentals in. Some of these individuals aren't aware of how close they might actually be to home ownership, right? So you may actually have some first time buyers when you are running rental campaigns. Just kind of throwing that out there.
Yep.
Emmett's asking for open houses. Are you seeing condos? Are the condos?
I'll
Are you
do
seeing
open
much of
houses
that?
anywhere. I'll
Yeah.
even pump gas for
Yeah.
people for open houses. Listen, 100%.
Yeah.
I literally just had a investment property that we just took off the market in Guelph by the Guelph University. So it was a 4 bedroom, 4 bath condo. Student building for sure. It was all
Yeah.
university students in there.
Mm-hmm.
My guy is an investor. He was thinking about getting out of it. That being said, I did an open house there. When I'm doing open houses at condo buildings, I always make sure there's 2 people in sight. I
Mm-hmm.
want one person in the unit and I want one person on the main floor to take people up or to at least guide people to the elevator and
Yes.
text me and say they're coming up.
Yeah.
So I agreed. Here's what I love about condos is if there's anybody thinking of selling in a condo building and they see you on that main floor working your listing, do
Mm-hmm.
you not think that they're going to ask you for your business card? So the last one I had a small condo building in Belleville that was listed. It was only a 4 story, a lot of seniors, again, in the lobby, and then one person goes up to the unit while I stayed in the lobby. The people there were so impressed at us doing an open house that
Mm-hmm.
if I had 10 or more couples come up to me and say, "Can we have your card?"
Mm-hmm.
So
That's
again,
great.
doing open houses is a great way to show your sellers you are working. You are
Mm-hmm.
working for them.
Yeah.
But again, it's another great way to brand yourself and to
Mm-hmm.
show the neighborhood you're doing everything you can to get this house sold.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Do it.
Absolutely.
Do it,
And you
Amit.
don't, yeah, it's not very common that you see, and I like that I see open houses for condos, right? Especially like here, not so much, but I know in the Toronto area, a lot of them have concierge. It can make it tricky to do something. So having those two people there, and of course, building staff is to be aware that what you're doing.
No, you just tell
But
them
that,
ahead of time. All you
yeah,
have to do is call the concierge or drop in and just say, "Just so you know,
yeah,
this is what we're doing." I've never had issues with concierge, but I
mm-hmm.
always let them know prior so they're
Fire,
not
so they're
like
not like,
freaking out. Yeah.
yeah,
But that's a good point. It's a good
yeah,
point, right?
yeah.
Okay.
And then
What
we
else
got,
do we have?
yeah, Lily. So Lily is in London. She's got 3 listings, reducing prices, open houses, very few showings, 1 listing canceled due to no showing.
Yeah.
Is that a
Yes.
scenario where the seller is not able to be flexible on their list price, or they're just like adamant about this is how much my house is worth and they'd rather wait?
You know what? I'm not convinced unless the listing is overpriced from the
Mm-hmm.
get-go. Here's what the problem is. You can reduce it according every seller's affordability is different, right? I'm
Yeah.
not saying don't reduce it. I'm saying
Mm-hmm.
we're so used to reducing it in order to provide the motivation to buy it.
Yes.
That being said, even with reductions, some buyers aren't buying. And remember,
Mm-hmm.
the problem is your listing is sitting there, but we're still getting a lot of inventory. So even though you're reducing the price, now 3 or 4 more people come on the market in the same price range, and maybe
Yes.
their house is a little bit nicer than yours,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Now the buyers are like, hey, we got so much to choose from, right?
Exactly. They take the
Not every
time and.
buyer is about the lowest price. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
buyers want the house that they don't have to do any work with,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's so hard. But all you can do is continue to advocate for your seller,
Yeah.
right?
Absolutely.
And reduce if they can reduce,
Yeah.
that's your best way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Best way. And I'm sorry that they took it off the market.
Yeah.
Here's the problem. I can't imagine having my house on the market, going to all the work that a seller usually goes to get the house ready, and then to
Yeah.
have nobody come and see it. It
Yeah.
it's a
It's
mental,
stressful as it is
it's
listing your
tough. It's
house,
tough on
right?
us, but
Yeah.
it's tough on them.
It's having a
Yes.
show quality home all the time, just in case, right? It's a lot
And
of
in their
work.
mind, this is for nothing. So
Yeah. Yeah.
everybody's going to be saying, "Well, I'm going to wait till the spring." No, don't wait. Like,
Yeah.
I know. I
Lily was
feel for you,
saying,
Lily.
yeah, Lily was saying her seller bought it in 22 and overpaid for it. So there was no real way yeah.
So
So,
here's another perfect example of what we're facing. The people that bought during COVID are all putting their houses up for sale.
mm-hmm,
And yes, they're at a loss. I'm sure a lot of
mm-hmm,
them do have equity, but from a what they're selling for compared to what they're paying for,
yeah,
we can't keep as realtors trying to chase these COVID prices. And I think when we do a market analysis and we see that they bought during that 2020 to 2022, I
yeah,
think that we need to go in with boundaries set. You
mm-hmm,
know, this is the price today and not bend. I
yeah,
think sometimes that I can be guilty too to go, shoot, okay, I know you paid this much. Okay, well, we can try. It
yeah,
doesn't work. It
yeah,
sets an unrealistic expectation.
mm-hmm,
And you got to feel for these guys. Like
yeah,
you do. You
yeah.
do. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
tough,
That's tough,
that's for
Lily.
sure. Yeah. And she admits, Lily admits, she said, we can try.
Yeah.
And it wasn't going to work. Right. But yeah, so Syed is saying the market is for sellers with strong motivation. They're not going to adjust the list price or adapt to the market conditions. It's a waste
Yeah.
of time.
Yeah. Yeah,
right?
and I think at the end of the day, the problem is it's up to the seller, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you do need to, and you know, with the Guelph one that I was just telling you about, these are past clients of mine. Like they've referred
Hmm.
so much business to me, and I mean, you kind of think of them kind of like family. At the end of the day, the investors weren't buying it, and they did lower. Like anything I recommended, they did. But I had to say to them, not yesterday, the day before, guys, it isn't going to sell. Like we can
Yeah.
sit for another 100 days, or we can pull it off and then just keep looking every 30 days. And they were good with it. And
Hmm.
sometimes maybe that's the solution if they're
Yeah.
able. Take it
Hmm.
off and just continue to monitor and put it back on.
Hmm.
It's tough. It's
Yeah.
tough. And we
It's,
don't want to
yeah.
lose the listing,
You
but
don't want to lose the listing, and then you
you
also
have
feel
to.
for your clients, right? It's like if they're needing to move, but obviously you don't want to get them hit too hard with the conditions of the market. And the longer it sits there, the longer
Right.
they're staying in the situation that they're in, right? So it's this whole
Yes.
like,
Yes.
you know,
Yeah. It's
compounded.
tough.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But I like
Now,
that everybody's commenting. I
yes.
appreciate this because at
Hmm.
the end of the day, Syed, I don't know what market you're in if you mentioned it, but you know, I like knowing that again, we have London and we're all in this together. And this is the
Hmm.
best way to actually boost our mindset,
Yeah.
right? You guys are
Hmm.
encouraging me because there's days with my 7 listings right now, I've got another 3 coming on the market, and I'm like, oh my God, no more. Right? Like, oh, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm like, what am I doing wrong? Like, it really plays with how you feel about how
Yeah.
good of an agent you are.
And are the ways that you're doing your market analysis is for the evaluation shifting? Because before we look at sold data, which is kind of tricky right now to look at the sold data, we're having to reflect on active listings a little bit more to see what's currently out there. Are you does it make it any improvement when we're leveraging those active listings that say like my seller thinks her house is worth this much, but saying, well,
Yeah.
this house is comparable, we can go take a look, or look at this house has been on the market for 90 days, it's not moving at that price, right? So, and
I
kind of
think
given
it's
that.
a good way to wait to
Mm-hmm.
give yourself some wiggle room as to
Mm-hmm.
where what the price is going to be to get the people in the door.
Yeah.
100%. If you've got to look at only the active right now, the solds are so few and far between.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the problem as well.
Yeah.
It's a market where I feel like every day it could be a bit different,
Mm-hmm.
you know. But you definitely have to be flexible. But the active is good. If it's been active for 90 days or more, then I can tell you right then and there, if the seller is willing, we got to come under whatever the price of that particular one is,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
That makes sense. Makes
Yeah.
sense. Now, kind of going into the whole, we're going to see, likely, I'm imagining we're going to see more listings come because of the COVID interest rates and more of them coming up and people being aware that they may not be able to afford what's coming down the road for them.
Yeah.
Is there an easy way? What are some suggestions that these guys can be a little bit more proactive with that? So again, we can always door knock, little pop-bys, different neighborhoods that we know may have been a high turnover area where a lot of these people may be in that position. Is there an easier, simplified way? I know you're on Trev and use that system to source out these properties that all sold during that era to kind of use it as prospecting material, kind of go and like a
It's a
target.
good idea. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
most of us, if we're in Ontario, are probably on the Realm MLS system, and they've got lots of filters to be able to kind of go by date and see
Mm-hmm.
what's sold. You could go by streets.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think the hardest part with that right now, from somebody that's sitting with a lot of listings and seem to continue to get them,
Yeah.
is I and I hate to say this, but sometimes in a market like this, you have to be really focused on buyers as opposed to
Mm-hmm.
sellers.
Yes.
So a lot of us that are on here obviously are buying agent locator leads, and we're
Mm-hmm.
probably all buying the buyer leads. So in a buyer's market, you really want to focus on having buyers and keeping them in
Hmm.
your car so they can buy a listing, hopefully
Yes.
yours and
Yeah.
somebody else.
Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah.
not sure for me to answer that question if
Yeah.
I would be doing that to try to get
Hmm.
more listings in this market.
In this. Okay.
But I will tell you from the buyer side, because I really want to be heavier with buyers than I am with listings. I'm really focusing on creating a lot of emails to send out to the buyer leads that I have with Agent Locator that's
Hmm.
explaining that it really is the time to buy. And I'm taking one email and I'm kind of developing 3 or 4 out of it with
Okay.
different angles.
Hmm.
So I can continue to be the one to say, hey guys, think about this, right?
Hmm.
And try to see if I can't get response to hopefully get them to think, yeah,
Yeah.
I don't need a 2% interest rate. I can buy now. It makes more sense.
Yes.
The thing is reminding these people that this is the time that they can get the condition of the sale of their property and an offer.
Hmm.
This is the time that they can actually negotiate a price and maybe I'm not saying get a lot off, but in some cases maybe getting it for a good amount lower. And these are the
Hmm.
things that they need to be thinking about. So
Yeah.
guys, that's kind of what I'm trying to do. I'm getting a lot of calls to list houses, and I'm not going to
Hmm.
say no. But
Yeah.
in my mind, I need these buyers to be active,
Hmm. Yeah.
right?
You're right. You need them. Do
I'm
something.
like,
Do
I need
something.
the buyers. So
It's
I'm really focusing on my agent locator leads to get
yeah.
them to understand it's good to buy
Yes.
now.
And I think so many of them are, well, the real estate market in general is so influenced by media saying, or what, a specific opinion of what might happen. It's the fear mongering of the market and the uncertain that creates the uncertainty for a lot of these individuals. And like, ooh, it's not sure if this is a good time. But then you have the professionals being like, this is really your best time, one of your best times to buy a house.
It
And it's
is. It
interesting.
is. And the difference is, right? You
Mm-hmm.
negotiate a price and you
Yeah.
might not get as much for your home, but it really does become a wash in most
Yeah.
cases.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we've got Sakat. Am I pronouncing that right? What's he's got in there for us?
Okay. He says he had two listings next to each other in Metro Vancouver, within 100K of each other, bought new 2 years apart, and both got canceled even after two reductions in a span of 2 months, as they didn't want to reduce it any further based on what they bought it for and what
Right.
buyers are willing to pay based on inventory available. The market is moving below assessment values, and sellers do not want to accept that. CMA,
Yeah,
a data point at that. How should these discussions be approached in your opinion? Interesting. When do our
that's tough.
property, yeah, like when do our property assessments in BC come out in the summer, don't they? Or did they already come out? Are they still assessed? January. Oh, so we gotta wait till January.
Yeah. Usually it's the beginning of the year
Mm,
and then I don't know BC, but in Ontario they do phased in, so they kind of give you a
yeah,
projection of further years.
yeah.
Listen, I mean, at the end of the day, that's a tough thing. If the sales are actually around the assessed value, that's a big difference, and that's
Mm-hmm.
a tough objection. And I think at the end of the day, what comes to my mind first and foremost is so many people focus on the price it sells for as opposed to the equity they actually have in the property. And
Mm-hmm.
maybe it is you helping them to understand that they still have, if they do, a lot of great equity that can then be used to purchase a property that is also much lower.
Yeah.
People get so caught up with, yeah, but I paid X and now I'm selling for X. I get
Mm-hmm.
it. We probably all would say the same thing.
Yeah.
But if they actually have really good equity and they can actually move it and get into another property reasonably, that's where we need to become that psychiatrist to
Yeah.
help them focus on what they have. Saket, if they don't have it, then at this point in time, it's probably in their best interest to take it off the market.
Yeah.
We are better agents when we're the ones that say it doesn't seem like a good time for you right now, if it's affordable for them to stay and wait it out.
Yeah.
Right? It's okay for us to say, I think you need to stay. Right?
Yeah.
But good luck. Keep us posted, will you? Like, that's tough. That's tough. Assessed values are like they're very much lower here. Very, very much.
Yeah. So
market value.
So that's where I think I got July from. The assessments are based off of July. So based off this month is what the assessment's going to reflect in January, for the most part, this summer. Yeah. Because that can too, like, and it's shifted. I know. Yeah, it can go both ways, right? Sometimes you get your assessment, you're like, what? That's not even accurate. But it's like, okay, well, I'm getting taxed on this lower amount and I'm okay with that, right?
Well, you need to, you definitely need to, but understand that assessed value is significantly lower than what the real estate value is. But Saket is saying in these cases, the assessed value was actually the real estate value.
Yeah. That's
a really hard pill for a seller to swallow, right? Yeah. And in my opinion, it shouldn't be. So keep us posted. I feel for you, but you know what? Good for you for being a solid realtor to them. At the end, they won't forget, right?
I wonder too, in those scenarios where the assessments, if you could pull the assessment, if it would hold any weight, I'm not sure what the approach could be of pulling the year over year and seeing, well, the increase, the rapid increase to show the property, and then now we're kind of seeing it go back down to moderation. So kind of giving them a visual on, this is what happened. You bought during COVID and went right up here.
Yeah.
And now kind of like a stock market, it's gonna come down and then it's gonna go back up. But having some sort of visual on that to see that, back in 2020, your house was worth this, and then 2022 all of a sudden was worth this, and now it's kind of coming down, a little bit more. Yeah. That's exactly.
I don't know. That's exactly what the situation was. Yeah. That's tough. That's tough. Gosh, now you gave me more to think about.
I know, right? And I think it's too, well, you see now, I haven't actually looked at a lot of listings, but that used to be, a lot of a marketing tactic in the description, price below assessed value, right? So that's, and they try to just draw attention to it, like the buyer's getting a better deal, right?
Right. I don't know. I wouldn't be saying that. That's for sure. If it was my listing, I'm telling you that right now. I would not. Any other questions? I love that we're all helping each other. At the end of the day, it's up to us to hang in there, right? That we've got to figure out a way to get people into the homes. Has anybody tried QR codes or giveaways or anything else creative to try to kind of get people in the door? I do know that there's an agent that I know of that's doing a giveaway to, a small giveaway to a spa. And in the neighborhood of his listings, he's got QR codes that people can scan and enter, but they're door knocking and they're kind of saying, listen, we need people to kind of talk about our listing. Who do you know? Could you give them the card? There's a chance for everybody that, and it's working. Like his showings have picked up. I don't know.
That could be an interesting one too, because looking at different and kind of doing different searches and just watching what some individuals are actually doing out there, that could be an interesting angle, even on like Instagram, when you have a listing, like share this, post it to your story, tag 3 friends, right? So then you've got like all these people advertising your listing for you.
Why not?
Right? And
why not?
So that's a creative tactic that would cost you, whatever whatever the prize is, right? But
Listen,
it has to be enough.
People are happy even if it's a $20 gift card. Who's going to not be happy? A
Yeah.
lot of realtors here have started scrutinizing sellers and refusing to take their listings if their expectations are not aligned. Yeah, you know what? And I think this is the market where you do need to say no.
Hmm.
But let me tell you something, there's always going to be an agent that's going to take it. I
Yes.
think the hardest part for us, and Crystal, you touched on this right at the
Hmm.
beginning of the webinar, is to get a listing now is extremely costly for realtors.
Hmm.
If you're going to do the staging, the photographers are not cheap. You can't get anybody for $100 anymore. And the listings have to look good online because that's what
Hmm.
the buyers expect. So if we're going to be investing, our money, which is out of our pocket, we need the sellers to be aligned with what the right price is. Or I know some agents also, if they want to try a little higher, some agents will have them pre-sign price reduction
Hmm.
forms and say, okay, if after 2 weeks we're going to reduce to here, so that prior to going live, everybody knows exactly what's
Yeah.
going to happen.
Yeah. This is the
But
game plan.
again,
Hmm.
I think it's okay to say no.
Hmm.
Remember, everybody, we're on Agent Locator right now. So if we say no to a listing, we still have buyer leads coming into our dashboard.
Yeah.
So never forget that there's always new business hitting your dashboard and
Hmm.
your phone, let's say on average once a day. Let's
Yeah.
say for most of us, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
There's always opportunity knocking, even if you have to say no to a listing.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Right? Crystal, look at me
Yeah.
promoting Agent Locator right now.
You betcha. You can
Oh,
use,
it's
and you
tough.
know what? You can leverage your website. So you can create pages to attract buyers, right? So it could be a certain price point, a certain area with certain features that you can blast out to your audience. Be like, this is my top 10 picks for homes in Toronto right now, priced under $900,000. And then get those visitors on, that are maybe already in your dashboard, active again on the site that may have been dormant for a bit, not doing anything. Um,
Yeah.
have you heard of anyone doing any kind of seminars for buyers? Because it takes those
Yes.
questions
Yes.
off the table and address a lot of the concerns that are happening.
Yep. I honestly, truly, truly, truly believe, and I'm an advocate for us working our leads to the best of our ability, doing
Mm-hmm.
Zoom, buyer seminars or having them meet. I think that I probably shouldn't say this, but I don't think the buyers are being educated from their lenders as much as they should be in regards to go ahead and buy now, even though your rate is X,
Yeah.
right? I think the buyers focus on having that low interest rate, which we all know is ridiculous,
Mm-hmm.
um, is stopping people from looking. Do I think it's still got a Trump factor to it? I do. We know in Canada a lot of people have lost their jobs with the tariffs. I do
Mm-hmm.
understand that. But I do think this lack of looking is more rate based as opposed to tariff based at this point in
Yeah.
July 2025. At the
Mm-hmm.
beginning of the year, tariffs for sure.
Yeah.
But I do think that we need to focus on the buyer leads that we're getting, and we need to be
Mm-hmm.
creative. Now, what I will announce to everybody, which I haven't even had the opportunity to tell Crystal about, is when we do our September webinar, I am going to have a guest speaker, if that's okay with you, Crystal.
Yeah.
This guest speaker is the owner of a wealth and finance company, and he's also a mortgage broker. And I approached him this week and just said, I think agents, because we're all experiencing the same things out there as we're all talking about in our chat,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think agents need to know from somebody that helps people with their portfolios, works with the wealth and finance and from the mortgage side, exactly what you predict for the remainder of the year in 2026. He was just quoted 2 weeks ago in Forbes magazine
Nice.
for some of his analytics that he does from his wealth and finance company. So I encourage everybody to be part of our seminar next. It's always the last Tuesday of the
Mhm.
month because
Yeah.
honestly, I think for even our own mental well-being,
Yeah.
to hang in there, we need to know from
Yeah.
one of the best
Yeah.
what he's seeing predicted in the financial district.
Mhm.
And hopefully you guys can be part of it because I think that's going to help us formulate what we need to do a little harder to
Yes.
get people out there buying again. It's
Mhm.
also been a pretty nice summer too.
Yeah.
You know, are people
Yeah.
vacationing more maybe?
Yeah. And
Could be.
summer is, well, I don't like it. It's you're busy generally. But summer there is always going to be a bit of a dip because of holidays and things like that. And people are
Now,
just
I
kind of like,
will
well,
tell you,
much.
my buyers and the notifications, they're off the charts.
Mhm.
Like they're looking at the listings.
Yeah.
A lot
They're
of people
looking.
are online looking. That
Yeah.
hasn't stopped.
Yeah.
But again, the more inventory we have, the more emails they're going to get with listings,
Yes.
right? Yeah,
100%.
yeah,
100%. And I think too, it's really listening to all of them and helping to facilitate those uncertainties, right? And educating ourselves. And that we should be, if
yeah,
we're not busy, we should be reading up so that we can speak confidently in what's actually happening in the market in different areas and how it affects different scenarios or objections that these leads throw at you.
right.
And that there will help bring that confidence for them to want you to be that working professional for them, right? So
If
yeah.
anybody is thinking about doing a buyer's seminar, I always say don't call it a seminar, think of another name. Just
Yeah.
because I'm not sure people are into seminars anymore, but really involve your brokerage as well. You know, talk to your
Mm-hmm.
broker of record, talk to your manager. So you're not there alone. The more people you involve in it, the more other that they'll tell other people to bring to your event. But I
Mm-hmm.
think it's a great thing. And don't forget, your agent locator leads should be the first people that
Yeah.
you start sending invitations to, and make sure that you do it long in advance with
Mm-hmm.
scheduled emails that go out to remind.
Mm-hmm.
But
Absolutely.
I think it's worth it right now, especially to kind of secure your you being the person that they can get the most information from
Mm-hmm.
with your lead.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely. I think too, your online presence that plays a part as well of what we could be doing to stay productive as well in a time where maybe we don't have listings or we have buyers that we have in the car and we're just sitting there pulling our hair out wondering what's going on.
yeah, yeah,
Is kind of working on our business and getting our social accounts consistent and having those rhythms put in place so we can attract potential buyers or clients just based off of what we're posting online. And again, you can
sure,
use your
sure,
website to drive traffic. So we all have our friends groups on social media, right? They see your stuff
right,
and the more
right.
active you're on there, the more people see it. And I have people that I don't ever talk to and they're like, oh, I see all your stuff all the time. I'm like, oh, okay. You don't
Yeah.
realize who's actually watching it. You see the
So,
people you see the people that often engage in it, right? They're always liking, following, plodding it
yeah,
along. But there
yeah,
is a ton of them that don't ever say anything, right? And so those are
yeah.
the ones that are kind of lurking in the background that might all of a sudden see your stuff and decide that, you know what? I really want to work with Tara. I love what she posts. I love what she does. I love what she's all about.
You know, it's so funny that you say that. Again, even if you have zero listings and zero buyers, you need to be on social media posting about anything to do with real estate, right?
Yeah.
You can
Mm-hmm.
take posts from your brokerage. I'm sure a lot of brokerages do group posts, but just share, 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 right?
Yeah.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
I was at an opening. A friend of mine owned a pub here in Whitby. So they had opened up another location. So it wasn't last year, it was the year before I was at an opening.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
do a lot of fundraisers in Durham region. A lot of people ask me to help organize their
Yeah.
fundraisers, which I do. So I met a gentleman that at this opening of this additional pub, not last year, the year before. I had met this gentleman at lots of other fundraisers that I had done. I knew his name, I knew his name. Every time we would run into each other, hey, how you doing? Anyways, but he was not on my social media. Like we weren't friends, so
Mhm.
we never
Mhm.
followed me or whatever. Now I'm talking at this opening of this my friend's pub, and him and his significant other were there. So of course he knows I'm a realtor. He starts asking me about real estate. That's what you talk about, isn't it? When they know you're a realtor. And he had mentioned to me then that they had just bought in northern Ontario, about 2 hours north of here, a brand
Mhm.
new home in a small town from a builder.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, that's great. And he said it closes in, I think he said like 3 years to 2.5 years. He goes, so we got
Yeah.
lots of time. He goes, but Tara, if you happen to see my house here in Whitby come up for sale, the builder's agent, who's a realtor, also works this area. We got to use them. And I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, no problem. And I said, do you follow me on social media? Because I can't remember. And he goes, actually, I just started. So I looked in my
Yeah.
notifications and I'm like, oh yeah, you did. Anyways, I get a message through my messenger last Thursday, and it's him. And I did happen to notice in the last 6 months, because if you follow me on social media, there's very little personal stuff. There's a lot about
Mhm.
the brokerage because I'm the manager here. There's a lot about my listings, and it's just really, for the most part, about work.
Mhm.
I happened to notice that he started liking a lot of my listings.
Mhm.
Here's what I'm saying. Last Thursday night on Messenger, he's like, hey, we're actually closing in February. We're not going to be using the realtor. We've been following you on social media. I know you. Will you come and give me a price on the home?
Mhm.
And I'm like, yeah, no problem. Right? I'm going to
Mhm.
Thursday night at 4 o'clock. Why am I saying this? This guy told me almost 2 years ago that he had to use another realtor because that's where they bought, and that realtor was supposed to be. In the
Yeah.
interim, he started following me on social media. He's not seeing a lot of pictures with me and booze. He's not seeing me by a pool. He's seeing real estate Tara every day.
Mhm.
Every day, something about real estate. And who did he end up calling to list his house? So the moral of the story is always post about real estate, because never say never. I was
Mhm.
shocked,
Mhm.
and I'm replying back to him going, you told me you had to use. He's like, yeah, no, not anymore. We're using you. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. There you go.
Right?
Right? That's a
So
great
to give
story.
you encouragement, right? To
Mhm.
give you
Yeah.
encouragement, real estate, what you get from real estate is what you put into it.
Mhm.
And this
Yeah.
is what I say when I'm teaching the realtors here. You guys work so hard to get your license, right? You're either in it or you're out,
Yeah.
right? So
Mhm.
let's do everything we can to make sure everybody in this world knows that we're working realtors, even if we're not, even
Yeah.
if you have no buyers and no listings,
Yeah.
right? Yeah,
You're always doing something proactive for your business, really, right? It's sharing something, sharing something.
yeah, yeah. And then I'll have
and
Christmas Day off.
and you know what? I'm sure for those of you that may not have listings, talk to the other agents that do in your office. See if they're okay with you creating your own little thing for, as if you're representing or advertising that listing.
Sure.
Um, right?
I can't imagine anybody
Get
would say no.
get
I
those
can't
places
imagine.
sold, right? It's like, yeah, so
Yeah,
it's definitely a great way to put yourself out there as a productive realtor, even at times that maybe you don't have any listings, like Tara said.
right. And you know what? If you go to other agents and say, "Can I do your open houses? Can I share?" At the end
Mm-hmm.
of the day, especially within your brokerage, depending on if you're in Ontario, we have to follow whether or not you're a brokerage rep or a designated rep. But
Mm-hmm.
you can go and do open houses. I love it when other agents come to me and say, "Can I open house your listings?" Yes. Can my team do it? Yes, me and my team
Mm-hmm.
do it. But I'm all about my listing is everybody's listing,
Mm-hmm.
because their following is going to be totally different than mine. I'm
Yeah.
not, you know what I mean? I'm not
Yeah.
stupid
Yeah.
that way. So if I've got
Yeah.
Bob Smith, doing my
Yeah.
open house, and he's got 5,000 more followers than me, who does that benefit?
Yeah. Yeah.
My
Exactly.
seller.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
so always talk to your brokerage and always see.
Mhm.
When I first started in this business, I knew, and I had two small kids, I knew that getting a deal was going to only be in my hands. And I
Yeah.
went to every realtor at my Remax office and said, I want to do an open house every single weekend with the exception of Christmas week. And I
Yeah.
set a goal. I was going to do
Hmm.
51 weekends of open houses. I had every agent at that Remax office. I think we had about 200 then,
Hmm.
uh, agents there fill my time slot. I was pre-booked for weeks because it was a time where listings sat
Yeah.
on the market for a long
Yeah.
time. So before I
Hmm.
knew it, I
Yeah.
had 4 months of a date book filled
Yeah.
doing open houses for agents.
Yes.
And guess what? I got business right away. In
Yes.
6 months of being in the business, I did 27 deals.
Nice.
And that's because of Tara. I
Hmm.
didn't sit and wait for them to come to me. I knew I worked way too hard as a mom to get this
Yeah.
license. I didn't have
Hmm.
a cleaner. I cooked, I
Yeah.
cleaned, I ran my kids to soccer, hockey,
Yeah.
baseball, but I did real estate and I moved heaven and earth and it pays off.
Yeah.
So always, always, always ask because we will all share what we
Yes.
have with
Hmm.
anybody, right?
Hmm.
I guarantee it. Sorry, I'm talking too long.
That's okay. That's
Seconds.
good.
Yeah,
Right. Yeah. It's definitely, yeah, advantageous to do that. And again, if for whether you're got listings and you're out there or just finding there's new agents in your office,
yeah,
if you have a lot of listings, offer it to them if they're not kind of asking. It's a win-win for everyone, really.
right.
We
So,
have Sackett with another one. He says, my pre-sale buyer from 2 years ago back have their completions coming up in September. And the developer has not allowed assignment so far as they still have units unsold. And as per the contract caveats, can disallow. And based on the market rentals, if they close, they won't be able to hold without dipping into their pocket to cover the gap. Guess who's being blamed? Even though I had provided a full synopsis report and contract and disclosures and recommended legal advice, but nobody wants to pay for it or read it for themselves and acknowledge market shifts. It's a realtor's fault for not having a crystal ball,
no,
right? That's
no,
unfortunate.
that is
Um,
unfortunate. And the problem is it seems like the fingers always point to the realtor,
mhm,
don't they?
mhm.
Um, oh, yeah, that's tough. That's tough. I don't have any advice for you other than in a case like that, I think they need to go to a lawyer and
Mhm.
find out what they can do, right? That's tough.
Yeah.
And I don't think that these particular pre-sale buyers are on their own. I think there's a lot of other people that are dealing with the
Mhm.
same situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think
Boy, oh
there's
boy, oh-
yeah,
Yeah.
there's a lot going on. For sure.
Yeah. And,
There's even a
and
developer
that's
in our area that stopped building. Like some houses are just like half built right now. Like and I don't really and there's houses that are built where
uh
the buyers at the time are trying to
yeah,
sell, but because they bought so high, now they can't sell. And I think now the developer is having that issue as well as the costs
I'm
when he
sure.
purchased were so high he can't even get a buyer to even come in
Oh.
and buy one of those. So it was such a tricky time.
Well, you
Tricky
know what,
time.
everybody? I think for those that are still with us, we need to kind of give kudos to Sackett and say
Hmm.
you've kind of been
Hmm.
through the ringer there in
Hmm.
Vancouver, and
Yeah.
we're all hoping that things turn a little bit better because that
Yeah.
that plays on you, eh?
It
Especially when
does.
somebody's saying maybe you didn't do your full due diligence and you know you did. So
Yeah.
in there, my
Yeah.
friend.
And it's
Okay.
tricky when the rental market dip if they were anticipating that as an option, because it has dipped. I don't
Yeah.
know. Like here, I'm in Kelowna. We've built so many rental buildings for like apartments, townhomes, things like that,
Yeah. Yeah.
that really took the pressure off of the rental market. So you're seeing people forced to reduce their rates or pricing, especially like
Oh,
depending on what it is that they're looking for, which can make it
yeah.
difficult when you're buying a home and you're expecting to get so much for rent and you just can't get it, right? So
It's tough.
yeah, it's a
Yeah,
tricky.
and in here in Ontario as well, the rental market has taken a hit.
Hmm.
That being
Hmm.
said, over COVID, it went ridiculous. Like it just went so high that in this case, it needed to come down. It
Yeah.
needed to come down.
Hmm.
But it looks
Yeah.
like we're kind of at a
Yeah.
wrap,
You
at a
betcha.
wrap.
Yep. Yep.
Thanks everybody for coming and
Yeah.
being here. And Crystal, I appreciate you so much.
Yeah. No, I appreciate you too. Some good topics of conversation. Everyone's going to go out and do open houses this weekend. Yeah. We're going to see
Yeah, I hope
everyone's
every
social media just blowing up, right?
listen, follow me. I'll follow you back. I will share your
Yeah.
stuff. Again, never forget, this is our mindset. We've
Yeah.
got to stay positive. We've got to stay focused. We are all in
Hmm.
this together. No thanks needed, everybody. I
Yeah.
appreciate the fact that you came on. And you know what? If you want to reach out to me, I'm always here to cheer you up. And I might need some cheering up right back too. But
Perfect
thank you for
time.
coming on.
Perfect
Yeah,
time for a realtor group podcast. Share the stories, right?
exactly, exactly. We all need to write a book after
Yeah.
this year, let me tell
Right.
you.
Right.
Yeah, no
Awesome.
thanks needed, Sackett. I wish you peace for
Uh,
sure. Okay,
Perfect. Thanks, everyone. Bye, Tara.
later, Gators.